Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Eden, your favorite on chain trap house. What's going on, Cozy? Can't hear you, Cozy.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
How goes it?
Good. How's your weekend?
Going good, going good. Can't complain. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Cozy, as one should imagine.
Good.
Had a lovely drive to our national obelisk this weekend, and that's always fun.
Obelisk. I pronounce the word obelisk. I
I
don't know the
pronounce
right.
it.
I don't know the right pronunciation.
I
I don't.
pronounce it however it fits best in the sentence that I'm putting the word within.
Mm, all right.
Yeah, I like to change the way I say certain words depending on the
Context.
surrounding words. Not
Mm,
even the context yet. More about the words around it. I like my sentences to have a certain vibe to them.
mm. All right. Okay. All right. So let's get into it this morning. Um, surprise, surprise. Someone managed to find out the vulnerability within the balancer pools. Luckily, they kind of gave everyone a week head start. However, this is still it baffles me that if you're like, hey, these pools are affected, you should remove your liquidity, and yet 900,000 still gets exploited. Um, why do you think? Why do you think this happens? Why do you think it's lock liquidity? Do you think people forgot about it? Do you think that the like why would you leave it there? I don't understand.
Honestly, I think it's a mix of a few things. One, just like people not paying attention and not knowing that they were affected. Two, people that are long term quote unquote investors, ones that uh, stuck it there and didn't plan to look at it for a long period of time, maybe like 4 years or something like that. Maybe they're aligning it with like a lock. Um, and then the third kind of people being uh, brainlets.
Mm. I'm gonna chalk it up to a good old summer vacation, right? And they didn't have their ledger. Um,
Ledger fell off the boat.
just be honest though. If that was a single provider, like you're probably traveling with your ledger, even though you're not saying you are, because you trust no one. But maybe no, maybe it was a larger institutional firm. They didn't have they couldn't move it fast enough. If the more signs you got on a multi sig, we know better than most the exponentially more time it's going to take to get that transaction signed. Once you get over like 8 9 signatures that are needed, that's just going to take 2 weeks.
It's not just that. I remember when EOS was going through its migration period, and I, I was pretty nervous because of the like position, like the position I was working at the time. I was really nervous for the general public because there weren't any recovery tools. There weren't any. I don't know if you call it recovery, but there weren't any migration tools for after the claim period ended. So as their kind of migration like claim for mainnet tokens, what happened was when EOS launched, everyone got ERC20 EOS, and it was essentially like a claim token to claim mainnet EOS when their mainnet went live. But there was a like claim slash migration process to essentially lock, burn, freeze your ERC20 EOS and get distributed the mainnet EOS. And I want to say there was like at like 2 weeks left, maybe, before the time, there were still like close to 90% of addresses that had not migrated. Like it was something crazy. And because of the market conditions, I was really nervous that if that amount of capital was locked up or lost, that it would make huge media cycle hype news and would cast this kind of negative light on crypto because it would have been like, billions, X amount of billions lost in, cryptocurrency migration, and it would just look like, we're a bunch of amateurs. Um, so I was really worried. I was going on tons of podcasts at the time and talking about this. And a lot of it was just that it was my first thing that people weren't paying attention, or they had purchased it like they're in the ICO and they didn't plan to look at it again for like 5 years. So it wasn't until someone kind of nudged them or someone they knew close to them was like, "Hey, I know you did that. I know you got into EOS. You have to do this thing." And without if the block producers wouldn't have come around and come up with some different unique tools, it would have been a problem. But yeah, TLDR, I think a lot of it is people just not paying attention.
Are you familiar with the unclaimed assets, unclaimed property process for traditional finance?
Talk to me about it.
So I think it's like 3 years or something, but the amount of money that hits unclaimed assets is staggering, right? So I think it's like roughly, let's say you open up a bank account and you put a bunch of money in it, and then we see like if traditional finance bank sees that you haven't really touched the account, or the bank has been paying, maybe you hold property or like stocks and bonds and stuff, and you haven't touched the account, you've been getting paid interest, you can get paid dividends. um Eventually you get to a point where it's like, what's going on here? You reach out to the contacts that you have on file. If there's a period in which that, I don't even think it's like 2 weeks or something, in which if they don't reach back out and say, hey, yeah, actually I'm still around, then they move it. Usually it's to, in the US anyways, they move it to like a state unclaimed account. And it sits there for a while, and I forget how long it sits in unclaimed. Maybe it's 7 years, maybe it's 10 years or something like that. And if no one comes and claims that money, then they just actually like donate it. Um, but
Donate.
it's billions of dollars that just people forget about. It's crazy to me.
I know that
Or
I'm
like people get, obviously like the line of uh secession, like when people pass away and like next of kin, sometimes it's difficult to track down. They didn't know that
yeah.
these accounts existed. Like that makes sense to me. But like a lot of the times that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they acquire additional money from me, but I have had in one of the states I lived in unclaimed assets I was able to reconcile. And a friend of mine's brother brought that up to me not that long ago. He was talking, amongst his family, his other siblings that are around my age, about going on to some site like in the state they were in to go check for assets like the state owed them, and they had until whenever to claim them.
Yeah, it's just the number is amazing, because like when you get to the institutional side, like okay, institutions like suck at accounting.
Yeah,
So like you open up one institution, like there's literally hundreds of accounts that are inner institution, right? So it's like one institution opens up another account at another institution. Maybe they're both banks. Maybe it's so they can facilitate some sort of business. Um, uh, I only know from the traditional finance, like securities world, but yeah. And then like
traditional
sometimes they forget about those
finance.
accounts, or there's something that happens, or the account process breaks down on one of the sides and they forgot that they have this account and this money. It's like, and it just gets written off. And we're talking like a ton of money just getting written off. Yeah, the amount that gets written off of some of these locations, it would make people sick. Um, but yeah, I mean, employee time is expensive, but still.
Employed. That's where it all comes from. It's
Yeah, well,
just
that's what it is. Is like
back pay.
when I was working in that space, it was just like anything less than like, well, depended on the use case, but like anything less than 1,000, like analyst level, is all you needed. Like you just write that off. Like typically anything less than like 3,000, analysts just fucking just moved it to unclaimed account, right? Write it off. And yeah, it's just staggering to me. And then you get to like larger numbers where it's just like, I especially broker to broker, I owe you this money. I'm like, I don't see you owing me this money. I'm like, no, I owe you this money, man. I don't see you. My accounting doesn't say that you owe this money. Like, it's $2 million. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't take it if I don't see it on my accounting. So you move it to a write-off account, or you move it to an unclaimed account. And that's like one transaction. I mean, that's rare, $2 million, but sometimes a lot of these smaller transactions add up, especially if you're in like the dividend space, or like just constantly like small amounts of dividends being accrued. Anyways, all right, let's move on back to crypto stuff. So Glassnode reports that we have hit a 5-year low on exchange held balances of Bitcoin and ETH.
This is because everyone's on chain.
On chain summer, baby.
Word to base.
Yeah, I mean, we see it a little bit. We see it a little bit on the DEX side, but I'd be interested to see like what order book depth is, because obviously idle assets on chain, for the most part, I don't think the yield opportunities in centralized exchanges are that great. There's better yield opportunities on chain, so that aspect makes sense to me. But I don't think a lot of these are being actively. No one trusts centralized exchanges anymore. So.
What is there to use right now? Like people are trading on Binance. It's crazy because like people have resorted to, it sounds bad saying it like this, right? Because Bybit I think has done a good job over the last, I don't know, 2 years or so, being quote unquote respectfully reputable. But like you had Binance. And you have Binance kind of right now. But like where else are people like trading spot? It seems like everywhere else is like either doesn't have the liquidity to satisfy what people are looking for, or there's so much going on kind of with regulatory different like government stuff that people don't want to hold their assets there or trade there.
I mean, makes sense. Plus, everyone's pretty much like, if you're allocated, right? Like, if you're gonna trader's gonna trade, right? But if you're more longer term oriented, then your positions are in, right? You're sitting on it. It's
Trading
not
in
like
Phoenix.
you're DCAing, based on your normal salary that you're getting, or you've already allocated what you want to allocate in your portfolio, and you're just kind of sitting on it, with no volatility and very little price action. I guess it makes sense. Just hold it in your ledger, hold it in your Trezor. Doesn't make sense to keep it on a centralized exchange.
It's been centralized exchange bear market, on chain bull market. It's always been hard for me to kind of like, that's one set of metrics that I've always been kind of like jaded by and skewed by, because after my first, I guess you could say, like job with crypto stuff, I kind of moved out of the centralized, I guess, arena and have been like purely on chain or non custodial type stuff. So I've always kind of found like where there's activity, right? Like you can always find little pockets of on chain activity and things going on. And that's kind of where all the fun is. So if you're like in crypto to have fun and make money, then I don't really know what you'd be doing like on a centralized exchange. There's nothing to try out. There's no tools or toys or games on a centralized exchange for you to play with.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's no like catalyst events in which they would bring new people to centralized exchange either. All right. I mean, that's not really a catalyst.
It's leaving all the exchanges. That's why I said it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little macro. What do we got rolling up this week? We got consumer confidence, we got non-farm payrolls, we got core PCE, we got PMI. So Tuesday through Friday should be have some macro data. I think I read somewhere it stayed 490 in the bear market, one of the longest bear markets, if not the longest bear markets. It's gone by a lot faster than I would have thought. When you're in it, it always feels like it's actually going by pretty fast. I think, anyways.
No, I agree. Looking back at certain like events, whether you know just pockets of kind of attention gravity or different like mini run catalyst events, it always blows my mind when like you see a protocol that gives you deja vu of one of those, and they're like celebrating their 2 year anniversary, um, or some NFT artist is posting about how this mint happened 3 years ago, and you're just like, where the fuck did the time go? Number one. Number two, like, how am I still holding that thing? Like, why? How have I not sold it yet? 3 years. Oh my god.
I read it today that SEC delayed the GPTC ETH discussion, or excuse me, GPTC ETF. I don't know. Maybe that was one of those Watcher Guru posts you never quite trust. Anyways, I still don't think that the ETF is going to get approved until January, but that's neither here nor there. However, you're familiar with the saying "sell in May and go away," right?
Very familiar. It's such a shame we don't listen every year.
Yeah, I mean,
There's just too many things to do.
Yeah, it's true. It really is true. But it typically ends in October. So we're ending up curving the end of August. We got 1 month. Maybe we'll see a little bit more action. We'll see. We'll see. All right. One thing that I saw Zach post on, but it's an interesting take, not take, but an interesting counterpoint to Elon Musk saying that the cost for a gold check mark for an organization is $1,000 per month, and that should deter away the scam and spam accounts from posing as real organizations. However,
Elon doesn't know how lucrative NFT scams and DeFi phishing scams are.
dude, Zach's post was like 20 different. I saw Inverse on there. I saw Lido on there. There's so many. We discussed this earlier, but definitely one organization. Like you get one Bored Ape holder, right, and you're good to go for a whole month. So that's the easy money.
Dude, you're good to go for years. That's the thing, right? Like $1,000 a month is like, sure, it's a lot to anyone who is just a casual user, but any company, $1,000 a month is a minuscule calculated marketing spend. And for any crypto participant, $1,000 a month isn't too much for an individual to like get a gold check just to promote their own like personal brand, in a lot of cases. So if you have a scammer that like you said, even fishes like one Bored Ape, they're set to set up gold accounts for 20 accounts for the next year, no problem. And all they have to do is hit one more for it to be worth it to them. Yeah, I don't really know. I think he has this like obsession with getting rid of bots. so he's just like trying all of this, like anything that comes to his mind that could like deter bots. He's like, yeah, let's implement that. And it's just like a lot of them are terribly thought out ideas.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of writing this piece on influence ops. Maybe I'll subtle plug. Maybe I'll release it under the Eden newsletter. But influence ops, similar to psyops, it's how memetics are used, how like you can, especially with botnets nowadays, a lot of the botnets are getting pretty sophisticated.
Attention
With that said, a
manipulation.
lot of them it's costly to run like a Twitter botnet, but nonetheless, if you have a centralized org that kind of runs a little bit of a botnet to kind of expand reach, but then also using uh, large language models nowadays, like you can make them sound semi-human. Um, the fact that Elon Musk upped the price of the API, I think, it hits a lot of them. But um, yeah, to drive a narrative um, is something that I think is like relatively. Uh, if you're a determined actor, I think it would be relatively easy to set up an influence op.
Have you seen any of the any of the young nudie AI like videos? They
I
have
don't.
like one they have ones with Elon Musk, like Michael Jordan, a bunch of people, and they're pretty good. They like they change their voice and the words they're saying to like talk about one of his songs, and then they'll like play some cuts and edits. Um,
Oh, using like deepfakes.
yeah. They're some of the better ones that I've seen, but you just made me think about it when you were talking about Elon. Elon, trying to deter, some of this stuff.
What's
Um,
funny is I was so I was playing around with one of them recently. I think I'm gonna have someone like Warren Buffett read our financial financial advice disclaimer before we put our videos on YouTube.
Pull that up real quick, Jamie. Warren Buffett reading disclaimers. Um, I've got some funny example videos we could use for different topics. I've I've got a not a folder, but a little collection of some good AI like deepfake ones.
Okay, good. All right, but more of the story. Double check how you're getting to a certain platform that you're trying to reach. Our recommendation, if especially we typically would say go to the Twitter that you're already following and use the links that they have. However, an alternative that I've been using a lot lately is something like CoinGecko. Go to CoinGecko, look up what you're trying to find, then use the links that they have. Those are vetted, pre-approved links that are not typically easy to change. Um, and so, if you're going to a platform, it's best to not hit up the reply guys, the fake reply guy scammers, if you're trying to get to the platform, because you're going to get fished.
And after you've gone to it the first time, there's this lovely feature in every browser called a bookmark. And then you never have to search for your favorite site ever again.
That reminds me. So, not going to make it from DeFi Llama posted the other day that there are obviously ads have always been a space in which that there were scams, right? But usually it was like MetaMasky, right? Whatever, right? Like it'd be like, a little bit different than the actual URLs. But what they were using is they use a third party like content delivery network or like an ad network to actually say that, hey, we're actually gonna this is actually for DeFi Llama. Um, and then when it hits the ad link that is usually used for deep linking or attribution, that it actually will reroute you to the scam site.
Yep, I saw that too.
Which I don't know I forget what I was doing. I was because I had I use ad blockers myself, so I'm not going to be a hater on that or a hypocrite, but um, I think it was on my phone. I don't have an ad blocker on my phone, and I was looking up something, and that happened. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Um, and sure enough, it wasn't. Um,
Sure enough, it was not.
but it wasn't
It was
Defilm, it
not
was
right.
another site. Anyways, we can move on.
I try to limit the sites that I use generally. Like on my computer, I'm doing crypto things on. And whenever I go to a new site, I just kind of have like a, I have my own strategy, I guess you could call it. But I mean, I use Twitter. I just go to the, I always look up, even if it's just a fucking like regular Web 2 product. I'm so used to it now. I just look up their Twitter, make sure that the Twitter's legit. I scroll through it real quick for a few seconds, and then I link from there.
I mean,
The Linktree thing has me fucking weirded
I
out
hate
though. Like
Linktree.
when absolutely hate it when like
So
protocols
annoying.
reach out and they're like, yeah, you can check out all of our links here in our Linktree, and I'm like, I'm not clicking that. Yeah, sorry, bud. You lost all chances of us like having a partnership talk when you directed me to a Linktree rather than just sending me your fucking docs.
Yeah, I'm not, it's just like so much additional clicking too, and it's like additional reading and additional clicking, and I'm just like, we don't got a lot of time. Everyone's busy.
I'm just like scam averse, So like anytime someone does something like that, it sets off maybe a yellow flag.
Mm.
Um, that their at least their like comprehension of like um basic like
Formalities or what's the
industry
right? Yeah,
security
industry
formalities or
standards.
etiquette like that they don't have. It's like not giving you anyone any pretense of what you're messaging them and then dropping them a PDF in Telegram and that being like your first message to them. It's just like a PDF. You'd be like, who the fuck is this guy and why is he sending me a PDF?
Yeah.
He's trying to steal money from me, clearly.
I mean, PDFs, especially in Macs, I think PDFs are mostly okay.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
see, there
That
was
sounds
a
weird.
recent WinRAR exploit that, I mean, not the case, I don't think for Macs, but where you would unzip the WinRAR file and all you would see was like a PDF, like a normal PDF. And then if you like looked at the PDF, you scanned the PDF, it wouldn't show as malware. But essentially, there was like the way that it was unzipped, it would not see the file appropriately. But the second you opened the file that was in there, the legitimate file, and it was like maybe a deck or um, protocol overview or whatever it was,
Yep.
is would run a small piece of script that would then download the malware onto your machine. And it was like unpacked. It like existed for like years. Um,
Look, people
and they just
make
recently announced it. I mean, WinRAR's patched it since like I don't know February of this year, but it
it's
existed. I think.
often the small mistakes and the little things that we overlook. Uh, so I just like I cut off all chances of that type of shit happening by just not allowing myself to do something that could have, you know, a risky step within it when it comes to when it's something I don't have to do, right? Like I don't know you. You didn't tell me you were sending me anything, and like now there's a new message from some guy who happens to share a checker with me that's like a PDF of something. Like, yeah, I'm just not going to take the chance of downloading it to my computer or opening it.
Agreed.
Whether or not like I use Macs and it's probably fine. Like there's something I could do along the way that I wouldn't think of, regularly that would make me fuck up and like why risk it? So yeah, I try to just avoid like all shit like that. Even emails, like if I don't know you're sending me an email, good luck, buddy. Like I'm probably not opening it.
I take on all that risk. No, I mean I'm pretty good. Uh, I do
Work email is a
courses
little
on
different.
OPSEC, so
Like
huh?
I'm work email is a little bit different. Like my personal email, I blindly just select all, delete everything, and keep it at inbox zero. I'll like scan through if I'm doing like a password reset, then I know what I'm looking for. Or if if someone told me they sent me something, then I'll know what to search for. But other than that, like it's fucking 2023. Like no one's sending you emails to communicate. Uh, I shouldn't say no one. 90% of people are not sending you an email to communicate with you. they're in our industry. Like they're gonna message you on Telegram, message you on Discord, message you on Twitter, send you a GCal, a Calendly, and then they're gonna tell you then, yeah, I'm gonna email you this thing after the call. So like, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Too many phishing and hacking stuff going on, So that's how I stay safe.
Yeah. I use 45 emails, so good luck. Good luck fishing me. Good luck getting to me. And if you do get to me, good luck like actually taking any information or trying to find the right account to the right email to the right account. Anyways, all right, moving on. Bitcoin's hash rate hit an all-time high,
Whew.
over 400 terahashes.
Fueled by the
Um,
approaching halvening.
yeah, we're sorry. I think you're starting to see the short squeeze of the Bitcoin mining. I know
Yeah.
that like Laos as a country turned off their Bitcoin miners, both from
Really?
a yeah, because
It's expensive.
yeah, it's expensive, right? And they were having some sort of um electricity shortage, so it definitely didn't make any sense. But yeah, that's I mean,
I've got to look back into this. I haven't been, in kind of the Bitcoin trenches in a while, but it'd be interesting to see where a lot of the hash power shifted to after. I know they shut off or they shut down some pretty big mining operations that they had in China, like maybe 2 years ago or so.
oh, dude, it all moved to Texas.
I know a lot of it did all move to Texas. Or,
Crazy though. So like that was one of the biggest concerns. Oh, so I am not a big fan of Hedera.
yeah,
However, the founder of Hedera has this talk on YouTube that I watched, I don't know, probably like 2017, where he discusses geographic Bitcoin attacks and how a
yeah.
51%, you don't actually need 51%, you really only need one third, right? And we had isolated more than a third of the hashing power within China at that time. And so
Yeah,
he
it's
like,
that people weren't thinking about it as like regional
yeah, when you look at the
chokeholds.
geolocation and you look at firewalls and stuff, is you actually need a lot less than the 51%. Um,
I've always brought that up to people that like when talking about decentralization and like the concept of like decentralized enough and like what is really decentralized um because of that, right? Like regionally decentralized is of importance when you're talking about um systems distributed like this.
but yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't know where it went. I know that China shut down a lot of them because a lot of them were under the under the belt. They weren't 100% legitimate,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they were using like types of power that was like coal overages and stuff as well. So it wasn't the most green energy per se, but not saying that the ones in Texas are either. But yeah, I mean, if you look at over the last like 5 years, a ton has moved to Texas. And remember, they were like trying to. I think they're trying to do it in upstate New York, but then they're like,
Washington was another spot.
they're like. I think they flipped sides in upstate New York.
Yeah, I had a
I think they kicked them
friend
all out.
a few years back that was pretty serious about getting a facility set up, and he was comparing rates in between like Washington, Canada. Texas wasn't as big at the time. That kind of came like just after. But I know that like Washington and Canada, I think were offering the best electrical rates. Shit's pricey, man.
I mean, do you know anyone that's got the Tesla solar power panels installed yet?
No.
Me neither. I almost got solar installed last year because they were giving me extending me credit for like 0.3% or something like ridiculously low.
Future
Um,
proofing.
yeah, and because well, I'm a tinkerer, so
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to all my overage I wanted to put to batteries. I wanted to put the batteries and then put to the grid. Um, so like I needed some additional functionality that they wouldn't finance, and so I was like, okay, I was just looking at doing it myself. But the fact that they essentially the way that they organize the loan is that the amount that you currently pay in electrical, you just move it to credit. And so I should be able to create enough in which that my cost to the electrical company is pretty much offset by the amount that I'm going to pay on this loan. So you get the benefit, like your fixed cost on a monthly basis is the same. However, you now have all this additional energy being created. But I don't trust salesmen, so I never pulled the trigger. But I'd be interested in looking at the panels that I do see a future in which that some massive company that we already use takes the brunt of costs because it's like
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem is that it's too costly for most. Like,
costly for
why?
both, but also like just energy infrastructure is like hundreds of billions of dollars that need to get reinvested into the infrastructure like every year. So that you need to offset that, and that's why you have monopolies.
Could
But
do
I think that's my
geothermal and spend less money, and you're perfectly happy with that if you're not trying to be someone with cutting edge, future proof tech for your family to take over when you leave.
all right. We're getting off topic. Um, One thing that kind of came out, I think that people originally were speculating that the third largest holder of Bitcoin with over 3 billion in a single wallet was the Gemini twins, but it came out as actually Robinhood. Now, the reason I bring this up is so Robinhood has about 20 something million users. 10% of them hold Bitcoin. So that's 2 million users. 2 million users collectively own about 3 billion in cryptocurrency, which is not bad. But when we were discussing Hashkey last week and the fact that they're trying to get 1 million users by year end, it's a significant amount of holders of cryptocurrency. I mean, so 1 million, even though our space is relatively small still compared to global pop,
it,
1 million is not
it's
too
not
shabby.
it's not too like it's not a goal that's not attainable, but when you're looking at it being 1/7 of the like control group, it seems kind of it doesn't seem very attainable for them.
Could be. Another foreign news. India's been pushing the cryptocurrency agenda the last 24 hours. So I think there was either G20, something else 20, some meeting that India's prime minister called for more of a crypto framework within the different countries. I don't remember if he directly tied it to BRICS because obviously India is part of BRICS, but I think it was at like a G20 summit or something that in which that he was discussing this, and then one of the I think is it Asia's richest man, or maybe it's just India's richest man. Then also came out saying that some of his companies are going to start incorporating cryptocurrency into their products. Um, India's massive market.
Dude, they've been a
Um,
powerhouse for years. I worked for a exchange
Wazir.
product out of India, that was based out of India years ago. Um, no, I still talk to them. They built a new product end of last year, early this year. Um, and yeah, they're doing fine. Now they're into like data analytics. I want to say making like custom like dashboards or something more for on the institutional side of things. But nonetheless, a super talented team, a lot of talented guys out of there, and I was talking with Gainsey, I think, like in like thread about this one time because people there was something going around in like the Web 2 tech that was kind of dogging like India like tech selection or like the tech pool. And I was like, I don't know what these people are talking about. Like India has been for years, one of the top like talent pools when it comes to tech. Um, so it's kind of cool to see that they're taking it by the horns and maybe you'll see more Indian-based crypto uh, companies because I know
I
that there
mean,
was a lot of people were shutting, a lot of the exchanges were shutting down, and they were moving to um, infrastructure, data type products.
well, it was an unknown space in India for quite a while. They went like back and forth, and especially during their like move to cashless, which was not well executed, in my opinion. But I mean, they're there now. So from a tech perspective, it seems like it'd be a relatively low lift with exponential benefits for the country. So interesting. Um, all right. So we've been talking about friend tech on a normal basis. I checked out a Dune dashboard this weekend, and from the peak to trough, it's down about 95% in volume. Um, the fee, I don't know what the fee structure is, but like there is a lot of extraction via fees. I don't mean extraction in like a negative way. I'm just saying that like there's um in terms of the volume, they actually, they pull in a lot of fees considering where we come from in the derivative markets where extraction is extremely minimal. I was surprised to see that. Um, the amount of money that they collected for both users and the protocol. But yeah, we'll see. I was listening. I think it was a bell curve maybe, and they're like it kind of looks like the ordinal adoption curve, where like a massive influx and then goes all the way down, reduces volume by 95%, and then it's just a grind up over the next few months. I could
Yeah,
definitely see that. Like they got funds now, like they can scale the team.
there's developers interested building things now. Like, trying to think what it was. There was like a fork of some like RuneScape like game that was put on Frontech, and
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like it was just a fork of some like open source browser game. But the point was that people are already thinking about like how they can um, like integrate user credits or like on chain characters, you could say, and tying them to playable characters in games and whatnot. So if there are like development interest that stays peaked and they've kind of see the value in friend tech as a substrate, then you'll see more and more things like that continue to pop up. I'm more amazed that you had like a perp market right away. It looked like someone was building some type of lending product. There was like the shares. There's a lot of tooling, like sniper bots and things like that. Um, so at like the very least, it kind of invigorated a lot of development and developers to be building on-chain tooling.
Yeah, I mean the invitation's always open, Racer. If you want to come on the show, I'd be interested to talk about long term vision, like how you're thinking about things like content moderation, some of the challenges that you see in other platforms that have kind of looked at, this type of relationship, whether you call it like a parasocial relationship or um, regardless, the idea of owning equity in a content creator has always been something that's interested me. So I'd be interested to see like how you're planning to tackle some of those issues um, in a Web3 way, in a Web Plus way.
um, the like transaction chart, I guess you could say, seems like any other, protocol with a token, right? It's almost like just an attention mapping. Like usually it's
Mm-hmm.
mapped to the price, but here it's mapped to users trading on the platform or trading shares, keys. Sorry, they're keys now. Um,
I mean, there's still a
yeah, I
lot
don't
of
know.
capital in the protocol. It's just a matter of like transactional volume. It's kind of
Yeah,
come
yeah.
down, which is it's not the best metric. It's just a metric. All right, one last thing before we call it quits today. BitBoy Crypto
Yeah,
got
let's talk
canceled
about
by
this
his own.
drama.
So so they removed his face from like the Twitter account, and I guess they locked him out of the. So there's like I guess there's like three guys that are involved in that organization, and there's like BJ Investments, there's something media. Anyways, the BitBoy Crypto or the umbrella, we'll call it. Um, so there was, and I mean, these are all speculations and rumors, right? Like none of this is confirmed as of what last night. There was a conference in Colorado, in Aurora, Colorado, this last weekend. The rumors are that something happened either there, in which that something might be coming out that shows him in a poor light, or maybe it was just his expanse into meme coin like scam tokens that have been pushed on the platform lately. All speculation, but he was kind of removed as the main character of the BitBoy Crypto show, and he went on to like Ben Coin's Twitter or something last night and was like, they're trying to stage a coup. His partners, his business partners, trying to stage a coup. Um, Interesting nonetheless. But it was the Evo 2023 conference in Denver this last weekend that I think was the tipping point from what I've gathered. I tried to look into some uh, Colorado, Denver, Aurora local investigations, and I didn't find any. Nothing turned up. So um, who knows at this point? But I think overall plus for the
I,
industry.
I you have to wonder if it has anything to do with some of his other, uh, promotional like associations or sponsors, people he works with, um, and that maybe putting a bad taste on their tongue as well.
You think they're pulling like uh, ad spend?
Could be, like you have to think. We are like if you're a crypto project and you're partnering with a polarizing character like BitBoy in itself, that's something that you're weighing risk reward probably pretty heavy on when you're making the decision to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if BitBoy is partnered with Stake, um, as well as other, uh, gambling, betting, applications, depending on where you're promoting this show you're doing with BitBoy or this event you're doing with BitBoy, you may want to take a step back. And if a big enough sponsor took a step back, and then other ones were like, "Wait, why are you doing this?" and then they start digging in more, and you're like,
Compounding, yeah.
"Yeah, yeah," and it's like, "Yeah, wait, this is gonna be a mess," and then you have cascading pullouts and or they decide, you know what, this would be great if we still did it together. The only one who is really causing this to potentially be an issue is the person who was trying to organize this. Let's just axe them. We'll do our own event and everything will be fine. Um,
I mean, I got 2 points. One, is there? I mean, I don't know. I've maybe watched one episode of BitBoy Ever in my entire life of crypto. But I do like the snapshot videos of when he's like raging. He's like definitely like
Yeah, yeah, like the Alex
testosterone fueled
Jones
raging.
of
I think it's funny. Nonetheless, is there another main character? I thought the show was only him. So if you remove him, is there no show?
well, you remove him and just other, sponsors maybe step up and put up speakers to like host the show.
It's the same audience. Okay. I mean, and I think this is a good closing point, right? And so, what's the reason that we created Eden, right? Was that for a lot of new people, the if that is your entry point, then we can, it's not hard to realize why you might have an allergic reaction coming into the crypto space, right? And so, we are looking to alleviate that, have a nice, safe space to enter the crypto industry and learn more in a slow, relaxed pace, right? We don't really have any financial incentives. We're just trying to make it uh, the transition and the learning easier,
We're just
right?
talking shit about what's happening currently in crypto. Macro, on chain, degenerate stuff, you name it, we'll cover it.
And we're happy to have you guys on. I think we're almost ready for the Discord onboarding of people, so we'll probably do that later this week. And so we can have like a live interaction while we're doing the show every day. If there's things you want us to cover, we can cover it. If there's, if you want to come on the stream, more than happy to have you. That reminds me, we're supposed to have Denton today, and I forgot to invite him. He pinged me this morning. He pinged me this morning. He's like, "Hey, just let me know whenever, and send me the link, and I'll join." So my mistake, Denton. I formally apologize for that. But yeah, happy
I
to have
think I
anyone
messaged
on.
him too, and then but I was talking with Weka because Weka was interested in joining sometimes, and I didn't go back to look at my messages with Denton because then we started this up, and I just like shut everything down when we
Yeah,
started streaming.
I hit do not disturb on everything once I pull up once we start prepping for the stream. My bad.
I
My
don't
bad. I
need
apologize.
Discord pings in the background.
Yeah. All right. That ends the show for August 28th.
Yeah,
Hope you have a
damn,
good day.
we're
We'll see you
about an
guys
hour in.
tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Adios.